Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Molineux podcast, where on tonight's show we're going to be previewing the fourth game against Wolves in less than 2 months of football. If you haven't already listened or watched to our Man City preview, full-time show, go do so now. That episode is live across all platforms. But tonight joining me for the preview is Harry from the Wolves 77 podcast. Nice to see you again, mate. I hope all is well with you.
Yeah, cheers, Mike. Nice to see you again.
Just before we get going, guys, remember, if you haven't listened to the podcast before, please do share it around with your mates. Subscribe to the YouTube and Spotify channels, and also give us a follow on our socials as at the Eden Road on Twitter and at Eden Road Pod on Instagram. Harry, I think there's only one place to start, really. Last time we spoke, you were preparing for your home game against Chelsea before playing us. I remember you saying you weren't too confident about that fixture, but you won that game and you're fresh off doing the double over Chelsea in your last game out with a pretty comprehensive victory at Stamford Bridge. Are you enjoying it? How's it going?
Oh, it's unbelievable. It really is, mate. Yeah, I remember talking to you about that, and I wasn't confident, and we won. It was quite a tight game, that one, from memory. But the one just gone, the 4-2, unbelievable. Like we deserved to win. Played him off the park. We did the classic. I think we discussed it last time about O'Neill's tactics. We did the classic counter-attacking style. It was just unbelievable, considering they've spent that much money, and we've got a small squad. Obviously, FFP, hands tied, and we could do that to them. It's probably the best away performance I can remember in a long time. Really good. We're on a high at the moment.
It makes it even more impressive, the fact that they stuffed Villa 3-1 at their place last night as well.
Yeah, I see that in the FA Cup. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, played well. I want to go back to the games we've played over the last couple of months. I think the result at our place was horrendous. Nathan Collins forgotten that he'd actually signed for us, gifted you a couple of goals, but you were the better team on the day. A second game at our place was poor again for you to go down to 10 so early, and then us to just not have the bottle to kill the game off. I don't even think we had that many clear-cut chances, but it was just terrible from us, and obviously a great strike from Tommy Doyle. But the game I want to talk about, and I think is the most interesting out of the three, was the replay at your place, because it was a fairly even game, I thought. And I think you probably slightly edged it on the night. But what was your takeaway from that game, first of all, from the replay?
Well, yeah, it became an absolutely massive game for us, because we knew we had West Brom waiting in the next round. And I honestly thought going into it, my honest thoughts were we were going to cruise it, just because it was a big game for us. And I just thought it was a bit of a headache for you lot, really, because you're still, you're still down there a little bit, aren't you? You're still looking over your shoulder a little bit. I think you'll be fine, but on the day, it was quite a surprise, to be honest. We struggled a bit. You were up for it, 100%. Like, obviously, Collins getting the first goal, and so a bit of a struggle. And for it to go to extra time like it did wasn't ideal, but thankfully we got it done. But I remember in extra time as well at 2-2, you at the post. Like, it was one of them. Just back on the first leg as well, I think we went down to 10 men, didn't we, quite early? So we didn't really care about that one at the time, just because we didn't know we had Albion coming up. But so we've had. Do you think about it? That 1-1. I know we went down to 10, and obviously the replay. Two quite tight games there. I know we beat you quite convincingly in the league, because I was on just before that, wasn't I? And it's mad you bring that game up, actually. So from that game up until now, we hadn't. I think there's a stat that come out was unbelievable. In the previous 200 plus games before that 4-1 victory at your place, Wolves had only scored 2 or more goals in 6 games, in the last God knows how many years, and we've done it 4 times in the last 8. So it's just all of a sudden we're on fire, we're scoring for some reason. It started off against you lot in that 4-1 win. So yeah, 2 tight games in the FA Cup, and I think the big difference was, I'm pretty sure you'll bring up, is you didn't have Ivan Toney, did you?
But yeah.
Let's see what happens there.
We'll get on to Toney. Just before that, just going back to the Chelsea game, what was it about that away performance that stood out? Because I know you've been on a good run. Obviously, the result against Man United was slightly unlucky. Just a bit of a freak game, that. But to even drag yourself back into the game from 3-run down was impressive in itself. But to go to Chelsea, and I know that Chelsea is kind of lost that allure when you win at Chelsea nowadays, because they're just a bit of a shambles. But it's still a 4. I mean, they got consolation at the end. It's a 4-1 win against the team, like you said, that has spent or more than $1 billion in the transfer window. And Chelsea is a massive club as well. What was most impressive about that 4-2 win?
The most impressive thing for me personally was we were 2-1 up at half time, deservedly as well. Very good game end to end. And in years gone by under Lopetegui, even back to Nuno, Bruno Lage, we'd have sat on that. We're just away at Chelsea, 2-1 up. You sit on it, you sit in and try and protect the lead. We come out the blocks, we just went for it. We got the third early, and then obviously we got the fourth, and we were cruising. So that was the most impressive part. And the way we play as a team, you can tell everyone knows their jobs and play together really well. I mean, Chelsea just look like a team of individuals, to be honest. They've got the talent, but no cohesion or anything there. And yeah, we just the way we broke up play as well. Every time Chelsea attacked, we'd nick the ball off them, and we'd just hit them on the break. And Neto and Cunha, the pace was just frightening. So yeah, the most impressive part is the fact that we were 2-1 up and we went for the kill away at Chelsea, which is very surprising.
You mentioned Cunha. I remember we spoke about Cunha because it was at the time where he'd started to score a couple of goals. But yeah. I remember saying that he, offensively, in terms of his dribbling capacity, one of the most underrated in the league. It looks like he started to add those goals. The hat-trick against Chelsea. Just talk to me about his kind of evolution over the last few weeks.
Yeah, he's got well, we thought he had everything but goals, to be honest. Last season, he looked good in glimpses, couldn't really score. But all of a sudden, it's clicking. And he's always involved. He's been playing more on like the left of the front three, which suits him a lot more to like cut in. And he's just full of confidence, mate. As soon as he got a few, that was it then. You just can't stop him. And yeah, big deflection for the first one against Chelsea. Obviously, one was a penalty, but he's the second goal he scored was brilliant from Neto as well. Like good assist and a great finish. So yeah, that's the big difference. And he's shooting more. It's all confidence in it. He's still, I still wouldn't say he's an out-and-out goal scorer. That's not really his game. He's got so much more to it, but it's just a bonus that he is adding goals because obviously Hwang has been our goal scorer really, but he's been away the last month or so with the Asia tournament going on. But yeah, he's stepped up and he's fantastic. I'm a bit worried now that big teams will come sniffing as they always do. So.
that was going to be my next question, like kind of a twofold question. Obviously, you've got Cunha banging in the goals. Looks like one of the form players in the league. You got Neto back from injury now, who I think before he got injured was one of the better players in the league. And you've got Hwang coming back from the Asian Cup. What is Wolves' ceiling now? Because I remember when we spoke the first time, you were not totally convinced by Gary O'Neill, but now you've had this kind of run of results, and I've heard people speaking about Wolves, and people are starting to wake up to the fact that Gary O'Neill is actually quite a good manager. But you, at the time, I remember you being frustrated with his in-game decisions. What's the ceiling now? And as a follow-up, now that you've got players like Cunha and Neto firing again, is it one where if you don't finish high enough in the table, those are the ones that are going to get cherry-picked from the top six?
Yeah, first of all, I think Neto's going no matter what. I think Neto will leave. George Mendes, his agent, has pretty much said so as well. If he never got injured, he'd have been gone probably a couple of years ago. He's that good. But in terms of Gary O'Neill, yeah, like going back to Luton and Ipswich beginning of the season, the first rounds of the League Cup, he was nearly out the door, to be honest. The fan base weren't having him. And a lot of Wolves fans, if you ask a lot of them, would have admit they were wrong about him. Like I was wrong, I must admit, but he's been brilliant. Everything about him has been excellent. And you think Neto last year under Lopetegui, I think he played 18 times, he didn't get a goal or an assist. And now all of a sudden, like under O'Neill's system, he's got so many assists and a couple of goals. Cunha again, hardly did anything. Hwang, so he's improved these players. And Ait-Nour is another one. He got the second, well, they give it as an own goal, but he was out of favour under Lopetegui, and Gary O'Neill's just giving this new lease of life. And yeah, I'm starting to get worried if we carry on that O'Neill will be touted for like the England job or something. It's just, we're all like, everyone's on such a high, and the ceiling in terms of Wolves this season, we've just got to try and go for it. If we beat you like Saturday, results go away, we can go eighth. We can go eighth in the league, which is, I think, top 7 to get you some kind of European football. If we get that, he's got to be in contention for manager of the season, I think, because every mainstream pundit and a lot of Wolves fans too were very worried about staying up this year. So the fact that we sold all those players, although a lot of the players we did sell, apart from like Neves, probably Argo Traore, were players that were pretty on the fringes. They weren't starters. He still had a tough job to do. Such a small squad as well. And to answer the question of the ceiling, I guess the ceiling's just about getting into Europe, I guess. 7th, 8th, I don't know. It'd be mad if we do it.
But I mean, it makes it more impressive, the fact that he took over at such short notice. And like you said, everyone was kind of writing him off. And now you're at a point in the season where you've put a run of results together and you're looking up the table. And genuinely, when I watch Wolves play this season, I think, fucking hell, they're actually like, when they go forward, they are actually really good. And you've got some attacking players that you've got and a strong spine of the team as well. It's culminated in these results where you just can blow teams away. You did it against us. You did it against Chelsea. You scored 3 against United, which is, it's no easy feat as well. It must just be like, it's funny how in football you get these kind of run of results and it's like, we're actually quite good. We could probably do something this season, especially with teams like Chelsea and maybe United not being to their best. Just on the game coming up on the weekend, I want to know how you feel about the prospect of Brentford with Ivan Toney, because the last 3 times we've played you, it's been Neil Maupay up against Max Kilman and Craig Dawson, and it's just a bit of a mismatch, like completely in terms of physicality. Whereas since we have played our run of games since Tony's come back, we've played Forest, Spurs, and City. Forest, we were good. Spurs was a good performance, and City was like it was as good as we could have got against the City team that looked like they're about to run away with the league. But having Maupay and Toney playing together now, Toney occupies the centre half so much that Maupay has had a bit more space to kind of operate in those pockets. But how do you feel about the prospect of Ivan Toney coming to Molineux on Saturday?
I've got to admit, I am worried. I don't like the fact that we're favourites. It never suits us, ever. Like, when we're underdogs, which is when we do our best. He's... And also, mate, we are leaking goals a little bit. Although we're attacking really well and scoring all these goals. Obviously, 4 against United conceded, a couple against Chelsea. So we're not perfect at the back by any means. And yeah, Toney, I get nightmares from that first season you was up, and I think you beat us 2-0, 2-1.
That was a good away day.
He absolutely, he just tore us apart. Like, he's obviously very good. So yeah, I'm very worried about it. And obviously Maupay scored a few, hasn't he? He scored in the FA Cup, both legs in that. So yeah, we've got to be on it at the back. It'd be interesting. And I think it's a bit of an banana skin. One of the lads we do the podcast with thinks we're going to lose. Like, he's convinced we're going to lose Saturday because of how well we're doing. And like, the fans are going to be expectant. If you go 1-0 up early, Molineux, I don't know. It'd be interesting to see what they're like, actually. Because if we're favourites, sometimes Molineux is the worst place to play because they're just so expectant. But if we're underdogs, it's one of the best places to play. But I'm worried. But maybe that's a good thing. We want to be up. We want to be up for it. And hopefully Dawson can just wipe Toney out in the first 5 minutes.
I wouldn't be surprised, to be honest. But what I would say is that if we do go, we were literally just chatting about it. We did our preview of, we kind of did a brief preview of the game on Saturday yesterday. And we were saying how many points we've dropped from being in leading positions. Genuinely, if we went 1-0 up on Saturday, I would be no more confident than if we've dropped 26 points from winning positions this season, which is more than the first 2 seasons combined. So if we do go 1-0 up, I really wouldn't be surprised if Wolves get back into the game and end up winning it. There's a little bit of extra spice to this fixture. I know that at the end of was it the 4-1 or maybe the FA Cup game when there was a bit of handbags with Nelson Semedo and Keane Lewis Potter. Yeah, and I saw Semedo post on Instagram a picture of him with Lewis Potter, or him scoring. He scored in the FA Cup, and he posted a picture of Lewis Potter like looking at him score from behind.
Yeah.
So I said on our podcast yesterday, I was like, because we've got this terrible run of games. We had Spurs, City, then we got you lot, then we got Liverpool at home, then we play City again, then West Ham away. So like February, in terms of the points we needed to pick up, but this game and the West Ham game are the 2 where we need to be getting some points. Otherwise, we're going to come out of February probably in the relegation zone, considering Luton seem like they're Brazil at the moment. So what kind of game are you expecting? I'm more confident going into this one than I have been the first 3 times we've played you over the last 2 months. And especially now we've got Ivan Toney back, I think it's going to be a very different game than the 3 we've already played against you. So what are you expecting from Saturday?
I think we'll be a bit cagey, Wolves. I do. And it's a good point you make about, because in the 1-1 as well with the sending off, to be fair, it's more aimed at the officials. But that Damsgaard, when he stood on Doyle and they didn't give anything. And obviously you mentioned Lewis Potter at the end grabbing Semedo. And then in the return leg at Molineux, you weren't on telly or anything. I was there because a lot of people were saying they couldn't watch it. But Maupay as well at the end was kicking off a bit with Semedo. Or did Neto say he did go down very easily for the winning penalty, so it kicked off a bit there. So yeah, it is a bit spicy, and I don't think Maupay's love it. There ain't much love lost between him and the Wolves fans. He's that sort of player anyway. I think he's.
What do you think of your
like him? Yeah, I've seen him the other night as well with that darts celebration and that. I don't know. I think he's one of them. If he plays for you, love him, but if he's against you, but a few times when we've played you, like you're quite good at the dark arts, aren't you, Brentford? You're kind of good at getting under the team's skin. Because I remember that one we referenced earlier when Tony ran us ragged. I remember that day. There was a lot of that going on. But yeah, it's just the way. It's the way it's got to be done, isn't it? If it gets you the win. But yeah, like I say, I'm not. I should be confident, really. If you look at it on paper, I should be very confident we could beat you Saturday. But it's just set up for failure. That's all Wolves fans are a bit pessimistic about it. It's a bit like, I don't know.
Well, we'll see. I'm intrigued. Honestly, it's definitely a crunch game for us in terms of the fixtures that I just mentioned. And like I said, I think it is a different proposition with Ivan Toney. I'm not confident, but like I feel like a point would be really valuable in our season, and it wouldn't be the worst result in the world for you guys either. But yeah, I think that might be a good place to wrap it up. Obviously a bit shorter because we spoke so recently, and it's like we've played Wolves so many times. I don't even think we needed to do this preview because every Brentford fan will know the way Wolves play, and every Wolves fan will probably know how Brentford play as well. But the Eden Road podcast will be back next week to go over the Wolves result and also look ahead to Liverpool at home the following weekend. Just before we go, remember, if you haven't listened to the podcast before, please do share it around with your mates, subscribe to the YouTube and Spotify channels, and also give us a follow on our socials as at Eden Road on Twitter and at Eden Road Pod on Instagram. Harry, mate, it's been a pleasure. Good luck on Saturday.
Yeah, cheers, mate.